Choosing the Ideal Camino Rucksack. Welcome everybody, I'm Peter and I'm an expat Kiwi. Okay, so if you're looking for specific recommendations for a backpack, I'm not here to help you with that. I will talk about the two most commonly used ones that I've come across on trail, seen others using in other words, but in terms of specific recommendations, you're in the wrong place. There's a very good reason for that. I think it'll become clear to you as we go along. Okay, so behind me, you can see I've got a few rucksacks. I've used those over the course of the years and they've been ideal for the purposes that I've used them for at the time. So how come we're now suddenly outside? Well, I realized after doing all of that video inside and editing it that it was far too long. Far too much detail about all my wonderful old packs and how appropriate they were in the situations I'd used them. So I jumped on the train. I've come out here to a little town called Verda. A little bit of training, although I must say, talking while going up these steps, it's a little bit much. Never mind. When I get to the top, I will find somewhere to stop and talk to you about the features that you should look for in a pack, both the essential items and the useful ones. I'll try and keep this short, but there's an awful lot to cover. If you think I've missed something or you've got a specific question, please leave a comment below. Alrighty, so let's get into it, shall we? What are the most important features to look for? First and foremost is you need to know your torso length. Okay, that basically affects how your pack is going to fit. You can look all this up online as to how to define your torso length, but any half decent sport shop is going to know how to fit a pack for you. So, you've ascertained your torso length, which is actually a physical measurement, by the way. You can either get a pack that has an adjustable torso length, or you can have one like this that comes in different models. Generally that is a short, a medium and a long. A few models actually come with an extra short as well. You will normally find that you fit somewhere within the region of those 3 or 4 different categories. The next thing is you want a decent waist belt. Why is that important? 80% of the weight of your pack is going to be on the waist belt. It sits on your hips basically, that's the whole idea. Adjusted properly, which mine isn't quite at the moment, it's going to sit on your hips. So you need a decent waist belt. It needs to be reasonably thick, but reasonably deep, but not too deep. It needs to be reasonably well padded, and it needs to have good adjustment. You don't want to buy a pack where you've got no adjustment left between the outside buckle and the inside one, because, well, if you're like me and you like your food, you're coming out of the winter months like it is now. I tend to eat a little bit more, I gain a little bit of weight nowadays. I need that adjustment. Shoulder straps. They're going to be taking around 20% of the load, so again they need to be comfortable. Not too wide, not too narrow, or they'll cut into your shoulders, and obviously moderately well padded. They also need to have a moderate amount of adjustment so that it sits nicely onto your shoulders. Load lifters. These are important to help get the adjustment right as well. Sternum strap. Some sternum straps actually come with a whistle right here. This particular model hasn't got one. It's not critical, I just carry one. That comes across here. It keeps the shoulder straps on. Again, it's adjustable. This particular one has a nice little feature in that it's actually elasticated in the middle with a limiter on the outside. So it means it's got a little bit of give. Just a nice little bonus. These are typically also height adjustable. This slides up and down. Some of them you have to physically unthread and put back in. But so long as it's adjustable, it'll be fine. So the critical elements that you need to look for: torso length. Find out what that is. Get a pack that's the appropriate size or that has adjustable torso length. The next most important thing, a good waist belt and making sure there's sufficient adjustment. After that, it comes to decent shoulder straps and having sufficient adjustment in the various straps that you've got to make sure that the fit is appropriate for you. Comfort is king, purely and simply. Oh, sternum strap, of course, is part and parcel of that adjustment. The better brands also do a woman's pack. They're designed to fit you better. Basically, packs for women typically have a shorter torso, curved shoulder straps, a smaller hip belt, and better padding. That doesn't mean to say that a man's pack won't fit you better, but it gives you ladies more options. Capacity. How much capacity do you need? How big a pack do you need? Packs are measured in litres speaking. Most people on Camino carry a 30 to a 40 litre backpack. Moderate amount of travelling, you'll have a rough idea once you put everything together on the bed how much room that's going to take up, and you can then just go and kind of eyeball it. If on the other hand you're unsure or you've not really done a lot of travel, you could of course just put everything together into a big plastic bag or a carry-on bag, anything you've got, take it down to the store with you, and I'm sure the guys there will help you out. Summer Caminos are of course a whole different beast, as are winter Caminos. Winter Caminos, people typically take a larger backpack because items are bulkier. If, on the other hand, you're somebody that's walking a summer Camino and you're packing really, really light, you could go for something like this. Now, if you've seen my training video, you're familiar with this one already. It's a little 23 litre day pack. I personally find this ideal for up to a weekend. More, I just cannot carry the type of gear that I need. 23 litres may not sound like a lot, but it's surprising how much you can actually fit in it. You will note that this also actually has relatively good ventilation. It has no frame, however, and while it's got good shoulder straps, the waist strap is actually just there to hold it onto your body to stop it going back and fro and banging on your back. It is not there to support. That's because this particular pack is simply too short. It does not fit my torso. It's not designed to. If you're somebody that wants to walk Camino and you're going to be carrying 3 to 5 kilos on a regular basis, get one that is fitting your back, in other words your torso, and has a proper waist belt. There are plenty of examples out there. You've just got to look around and find one. Just like most of them, it's got your place for your water tube, it's got good side pockets for water bottles, it's got a mesh pocket on the front, it's got good adjustment, it's got a sternum strap, and yes, this one does have a whistle, that's what they look like. The lovely thing I really like about this is it's got a nice pocket inside, great to keep things a little bit more secure. It's got an additional mesh pocket on the front, which is really helpful for things you might want to find in a hurry. And it's also got a nice top pocket with a key clip. As I said, I don't want to lose my house key. Useful features. This is the fun part. There's lots of things that you can find useful on a backpack. Personally speaking, I like waist belt pockets. They're not critical, they're just useful. I've got toilet paper and so forth on one side, hand sanitizer, that sort of thing. I've got snacks on the other side. Some people like to keep their phones in them. It doesn't really matter, it's whatever works for you. It's just a useful feature. If it hasn't got them, it's not the end of the world. You can get aftermarket pockets for your waist belts. One feature that is super important, it's not exactly critical, but it is extremely useful, it's right up there, is decent ventilation. If you're somebody that's like me and sweats a little on the Camino, ventilation on the back is so nice. It means your back is just not constantly drenched with sweat. This has mesh going all the way from the top down to the base of the spine. You can see my hand actually goes in between the back of the pack and the mesh. This is springy, it gives great support, but it doesn't push the backpack too far away from my back at the same time. There are a few backpacks that have a feature like this. Look out for them. A feature some people look for, especially those that want to hang things off their straps, water bottles for example, is webbing. This particular pack doesn't have webbing on the shoulder strap. Rain cover, a very useful feature with many packs nowadays. They often come as part and parcel. If not, it's not a major. You can buy them aftermarket, but it's yet another thing to add on. And it's easier to forget one that isn't actually attached. In this particular pack, it's right at the bottom here, you can see. It's a nice bright green, which I personally find kind of helpful because it's a little bit more high-vis. And it's attached with a little strap with a toggle. The reason that's useful is should you need to wash this, it's got more muddy and so on, you can simply take it off, give it a wash, put it back. No big deal. Organisation. By that I mean pockets and access. I've already discussed the waist pockets, nice useful feature. This, because it's got a brain, also has a nice big top pocket. It's great for my slip pad, for example. I particularly like the fact that it's got a key clip in it, which you can see I use. I think most packs do nowadays. It's also got an internal pocket. Typically that's things that I want quick access to but I don't need every day, like my first aid kit for example. The Deuter pack has one little thing that I quite like. It's got a little emergency information printed on the inside of the lid. For example, the emergency number, which over here is 112, regardless of what branch you require. I like the fact that it's got a drawstring top, very quick, easy to access to get everything in and out of, but also easy to close. And when that's tucked in and the brain is over the top or the lid is over the top, makes it very hard for water to access. You can of course get the roll top packs. They're also a great option, but they generally miss these additional pockets, which, as I say, I just find useful. I like the fact that this one's got great side pockets. Yes, you can put water bottles into them. It's also got a really big mesh pocket on the front here, which is ideal for stuffing things. I've got a clean pair of socks in there. Didn't even realise. I occasionally put them in there when I haven't got a lot of stuff left to dry off, and because it's mesh, it breathes. That way they don't fall off and get lost on the trail. One feature that I quite like with this pack is the fact that it's got a bottom compartment. It is actually something that I looked for, I'll be quite frank. The reason I like that is because I can pack the main part of my pack with everything the night before, and then I can put my sleepwear into the bottom on the morning of departure. It's also nice at the end of the day when you first get to your albergue, you can quickly get in there, get your sleepwear out and put it on your bunk to claim your bunk. One of the things I quite like with this particular one is that the partition between the bottom compartment and the top is removable. So if I've got anything that's particularly long, then I can actually remove part or all of that compartment, it's just zipped, and put that through. Just a nice little touch. Something for you to seriously consider when you go to buy a pack is, do you intend to have just carry-on luggage? Personally, when I'm heading to the Camino, it would ruin my Camino, especially with some of the shorter ones, if my pack was delayed for a day or two. So I only travel with carry-on luggage. How I make that work is my pack is specifically bought so it will fit the most common requirements, which is 22 inches or 56 centimeters long. That's true of most but not all airlines, so do your due diligence. Check with the airline you intend to travel with. Another of the carry-on requirements is of course weight. Now, because of my camera gear, for example, I'm filming on it right now, my weight is often tipped over the 7 kilos that's allowed for carry-on luggage. There's a nice little trick to get around that. I put the heavy items into the brain. Then, when I'm at the airport, I take that out of the brain, which incidentally makes the pack significantly shorter, and I put it into my little day pack. So what do I mean by a little bag? Well, something like this, for example. This particular one I got from Decathlon over here. It's 20 litres. It's ideal for putting my jacket and a water bottle in to go uptown, to do my shopping and so forth, and just to wander around with of an afternoon. Plus, of course, when I'm at the airport, in order to get through onto the plane for boarding, heavy items go into here, it goes under the seat, job's done. Okay guys, excuse the list in my hands, but there's so many things and I just want to make sure that I've covered them all, because I've already recorded this segment 2 times. I don't want to have to do it 4. Right, the most important thing, torso length. The second is, of course, a decent waist belt. The third is sufficient adjustment. As I've said time and again, comfort is key. Useful items, waist belt pockets. Whistle, yeah, okay. Ventilation, super important as far as I'm concerned. Frankly, I would almost put that with the essentials. Additional pockets, as I talked about, having good side pockets, a nice mesh back pocket, all of these things are super helpful. Not essential, just super useful. A key clip, don't want to lose the house key. A separate compartment, I talked about why. A decent brain or top pocket. The roll top packs are also great. Obviously rain's not going to get in with something like that, and it can then adjust the capacity of your bag, but you often don't get those with a frame. And personally speaking, because I'm carrying that little bit more weight, 7+ kilos, I personally prefer to have a frame because it helps distribute the weight better. The drawstring tops, I mentioned that I particularly like them and I talked about why. Again, like I've just talked about, a roll top would do the same thing. Carry on. Do you want to carry it on or not? If so, make sure it fits the requirements for the airline that you're talking about. A rain cover, an extremely useful feature unless you happen to have one of the super light packs which is made from, I think, Dyneema or something similar. They're basically maybe not waterproof but extremely water resistant. Okay guys, I can't think of anything else useful to add. I guess that's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching. If it's been of benefit for you, consider liking and subscribing because it'll help others find the video. The sun has come out. In fact, it's just about blinding me because I'm looking at it right now. So I'm out of here. Buen camino.